This is going down way too well for
It is. It's quite delicious.
11 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Yeah. I was going to go harass the government today, but I'm not going to do that anymore.
All right, so for those of you tuning in, I'm here with Rhys from Evil Megacorp, one of the new and up-and-coming breweries in Western Australia. He's brewing some of the most wild and outrageous beers. The name of this episode, in fact, on paper here is Big Dumb Beers. We both share an absolute love for them and a love for brewing them. We're going to chat a little bit about beer, a little bit about AI, politics, and everything in between, because apparently beer is the glue that holds all of this together in our society. Without further ado, Rhys, give me the 30-second pitch for Evil Megacorp for someone who's never heard of you before.
So Evil Megacorp is an ironic name, which I thought was really funny, and now I feel more foolish every time I have to introduce myself to someone, which is awesome. But it's basically, I have about 20 years in the beer industry in various roles. I was talking to my partner at the time during COVID, and I was like, what would you do if you won the lotto? And I thought, I'd probably just get a small little brewery and just make beers that I don't really care about the business side of things, just stuff that I want to make, and try and figure that out. And she said, you could probably do that now. And so I just said, all right, yeah, may as well give it a go. And then I kind of committed too far and just had to keep going.
It's amazing. It's a really cool way to set out. And honestly, I mean, it's not dissimilar to where we started as Rocky Ridge. We've ended up down a vastly different pathway, but I mean, we're coming up to 9 years this year, and it started as just Mel and I and our two dogs, right? In a shed in the middle of a paddock in Jindong. We kind of went, oh shit, people like our beer, which we didn't expect, and it sort of started to snowball, and now we don't really know how to stop the snowball. But look, I guess walk me through why you've gone for a subscription-only channel. I mean, it's a big constraint to put on yourself. And I mean, is there actually an ambition to stay just as subscription-only, or do you plan on opening a venue, or do you plan on growing in any way, shape, or form? Because I mean, and feel free to say, oh, well, I'm not sure, because I mean, we weren't sure either. But it just feels like it's a really tight. I guess it's a tight constraint to put on from the start.
Yeah. So part of the main driving idea behind Evil Megacorp was it was all just me. So everything involved is me. And just with the way that the beer industry is structured, it's really hard to do all the brewing, all the packaging, and then deliver to venues and, have bottle shops and all that kind of stuff. And I had the only way I could afford to do it. I've been a brewer for years. I don't have any money. So the only way I could really afford to start something was to go really, really small, on a really, really small end, really manual. I don't even have a forklift. For the first months, I didn't have a cool room, and I just kind of bootstrapped everything together myself. In some ways, that was a big mistake. But the plan was really just to kind of do it myself, so the subscription thing became necessary to sell the beers that I want to make, because I know that my beers aren't, a beautiful European style Pilsner that appeals to 90% of people. The beers that I make is maybe 1 or 2% of people that drink beer are going to be really into it, and they're going to be spread out all over the country. So rather than having to maintain distribution channels and have third-party logistics and sales reps and deals and stuff like that, and have a core range, which I didn't want to do. The better outcome for me was to kind of just go direct from brewery to customer, which is obviously, it's more expensive to ship things a 4-pack at a time than a pallet.
Sure.
But because I'm small enough that I can distribute it all myself, there's you're not paying the extra third parties on it kind of makes sense a little bit.
100%. And look, I mean, from my perspective as another brewery owner, it makes perfect sense being able to go direct to the customer. You can control a whole lot of your product journey directly, right? And that's something that I envy, because ultimately with us, we do have a fairly vast distribution network. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to maintain. And ultimately, we have no guarantees that the product that the customer gets or that our consumers get is going to be to the to the quality that we want it to be, simply because it could have been sitting out in the sun. It could have been mistreated. There's so many different variables in there, and the longer that beer is out of our control, the harder it is for us to know what that quality is going to be like. So I honestly envy the model. I think it's fantastic, and being able to I guess brew what you want to brew and not worry about having to hit certain volume targets or having to, sell 1 million litres. It's awesome. A lot of respect there, and a lot of respect for having the balls to go, no, this is how I'm going to do it, because it's really
more
easy.
Hubris than balls. Like, let's be realistic. But yeah, so I didn't actually answer your question. So every kind of 6 weeks when I'm trading, as usual, every 6 weeks I send out 4 new beers to the customers that have an ongoing subscription. And they don't know what the beer's going to be. They're usually kind of 7.5 to 12-ish%, one of a kind, never to be repeated beers. And then a couple of weeks after that, if there's any left over, because you never know exactly how many litres you're going to get out of a tank. So I always try and aim a little bit high. There's always a little bit left over, and I'll just release that online. So people that don't want to commit to a subscription or whatever, they can just buy stuff on the website that'll get shipped directly to them. They get a little bit of a taste about how it works. And it goes from there. And I get a lot of converts that way, which is good.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So talk to me about big beers, right? Because you nailed it there. You 7.5 to 12% and potentially even higher.
Some of them being
before.
Yeah.
They're big alcohol, right? But also, in my experience, that means big flavour. It also means that you can have a lot of fun with what you're creating. So what's the goal there? Are you trying to perfect a certain style or recipe, or is it more about this is what I feel like brewing at the time, or are you looking at what's going on in the market? We sort of talked about that off camera earlier, but ultimately there's a lot of different things that make our decisions and help us to shape our decisions for what we're going to brew. And inevitably the last 3 years we've found that we're brewing lower ABV beers than we ever have before. So I'm really interested to know how you feel about sitting at the moment, and also, I guess, what the logic is behind it. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think you guys bring lower ABV beers, but I think that's universal. It's kind of across the craft kind of spectrum. People are pulling away from the triple IPAs and doing more kind of mid-strength session beers, that kind of thing. And I think that's a reaction to consumer demand. They want more of those. But I think the beer industry tends to overcorrect quite quickly on things. Like there was a reason we went from 0 alcohol-free beers to 100 rotting on the shelf in a couple of years. I think that while there is less appetite for a triple IPA, those people didn't disappear. There's still some people that want that. And when I'm really, really small and niche, I can appeal to those people. Kind of swimming upstream was kind of beneficial for me in that regard. But you're right, the big flavors, I think I love hops. And I think there's a huge difference putting in a 10, 15 gram per litre dry hop in a 3.5% beer and an 8.5% beer. And I think primarily it's because, firstly, fermentation creates some byproducts and stuff that taste good and have some synergy with hop flavors. But also I think that there's thousands of different compounds in a hop. Some of them are more water soluble and some of them are more alcohol soluble. And the more alcohol you have, the more you're stripping out those lovely oils and stuff like that, which is what we want, as opposed to the grassy, vegetal those kind of characters. Yeah,
you get more of that pine resin and those beautiful mid notes, mid palate notes, exactly. Right? And that's what I absolutely love. I mean, West Coast IPAs are one of my favourite styles, right? And I've got a particular love now of, I guess, what's been touted as the Cali style. So a little bit of a leaner malt body, really big hop expressions. They've still got that little bit of resin going on mid-palate, but a nice bitterness to finish it. But ultimately, I agree wholeheartedly, right? And it's ironic because if you told me 7 years ago that we would be brewing 3.5% beers, I would have told you you're full of shit. But hey, here we are. And that's largely because we all drink them now as well, right? I mean, I never used to drink much mid-strength, but now I find myself increasingly needing to drive places. I'm increasingly aware of how much I'm consuming, so therein I've changed my own habits. That's led to us doing this. That said, on a weekend, fuck yeah, I love a 7.5%, 8% double IPA, right? Like that's my jam. That's exactly where I want to be drinking. That's exactly what I want. So it's really interesting. Again, I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong, and ultimately it comes down to what you actually like, right?
I mean, wrong is when you go bankrupt. You know, like it's the market is pretty clear
Yeah.
on right and wrong. You know, like if you're not bankrupt, then it's all right. You know, you're doing something all right.
This is fair. Yep, that makes sense.
You know, so
Classic.
people aren't buying it, you shouldn't be making it. But in my way of doing it, you asked before, it's like this is probably something I shouldn't say out loud, because I know that we're all supposed to say, I put so much thought into every single ingredient and everything's refined over this process, and I make sure that I balance the essential oils of the hops just right, and I often will have a vague concept of a beer as I'm driving into work, look around at my malt bill, and figure out something on the fly, and then as I'm doing my initial mash rest, I'll figure out the hops I'm going to use in the yeast, and then the beer will kind of be written over the course of the day. I'm like, taming the elephant while riding it kind of thing.
Love it.
And then I don't even know what style it is or what style I'm going to call it until after it's packaged.
But I mean, styles are fluid, right? Like at the end of the day, it's beer.
Completely agree.
I mean, we're trying to fit something into a category when the reality of it is that it's so much more expressive than that.
Yes, but also it's intentional. Like, we look at things like the evolution of styles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Evolution works for like plants and animals because they actually have to go through an iterative process.
Yeah.
You know, like you can just make, like for anything that's like a human creation, like music or film or fucking beer, like you're intentionally making decisions about how it's similar or different from the last thing.
I love that. I love that. So, I mean, I listen to a lot of music podcasts, and it's amazing how many musicians come on and they're like, their best songs and their best inspiration has come from 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's literally, it seems to be when they're having a lunch break and they're just sitting there riffing away and having a chat, and then suddenly they land on gold.
Yes.
And that's when they embrace it and they go for it, right? And you're saying something really similar about recipe development.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I think turning off your brain sometimes is really beneficial.
Yeah.
You know, just let it happen.
Look, Ross will hate me saying this because he's the creative mind behind all our beers, but ultimately there is a lot to be said for a less is more approach to it, and just having a little bit of fun and going with your gut instincts as to what's going to work. A little bit more complex when you get to a scale where you've got to have cans procured months in advance and you've got to hit certain ABVs, etc. And there's a lot of challenges around that. So being able to do that on the fly is amazing. And ultimately, again, I think it just shows how there's so many different models and so many different ways of making beer work in this day and age. And there's no one size fits all solution to it. It's literally, let's have some fun. Let's make something that tastes fucking good, that people are going to remember. I mean, something that I've always said is I want my beer to be like, it's like the song you listen to in year 11. Every time you listen to it now, it takes you back to that time, right? And I want beers to have that same kind of connection to a time and place. So the best thing is when you crack a can and you're like, oh fuck, I remember when I was camping 3 years ago, and it just takes you back to that moment.
Absolutely.
And
I had that experience on Sunday night. I was like, pretty nostalgic moment for me. I went to Frio Social and saw the Mountain Goats play, and a song came on, and I remember being 17 and in the shower hearing it on the radio, and I'm like, that was the moment. And then I looked at my hand, I was drinking a pint of Cloudburst, which was, like a very close beer to my heart and part of my development.
How much sleep did you lose while developing that beer?
A lot, man. Like in the early days, the idea of getting a shelf-stable hazy, just did not know how it was going to work. Like it was.
I'll let you in a little secret.
Yeah,
we still don't know.
Look, we probably did when I was at Other Side. We probably did between 6 and 10 different hazies that we do as just one-off releases before we could kind of be comfortable that it's going to have 9, 12 months on the shelf. Yeah. And we know it's going to be okay, because when people have a beer that's like not being looked after and it's terrible, they don't be like, man, that delivery driver wasn't very good. No. They say that brewer sucks.
100%. You get one chance, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, if someone's picking up your product for the first time, you get that one chance at a first impression, and if they don't like it, then you're trash.
Definitely.
And away they go. And fair enough too, because there's a lot of choice out there, and there's a lot of really good choice out there too. There's some amazing beers, not just here in Western Australia, but across the whole country. Yeah. And that standard has lifted dramatically over the last 10 years. I think there's been a huge change in the quality and the standards that everyone's holding themselves to as well when it comes to producing shelf-stable and quality products.
And also, I think the kind of the hazy thing was really, really crucial in onboarding a lot of people that weren't into craft.
Yeah.
Because it for people that just know beer as this bitter thing, you know, it was the opposite of that. You know, this bit of fizzy liquid, but now it's like thick and rich and unctuous and fruity and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
It's a good word, unctuous.
Yeah.
I like that. So that's a really nice segue into, I guess, current beer trends and what you feel about those, because I guess, you know, hazies have been the thing at the moment really for the last 7 years, I'll say, and maybe 8 years even.
More, more. I mean, really, it's like, 2014 when they first started coming out in Australia, 12 years.
Yep.
But I mean, that was, you know, like Three Ravens and stuff like that being the bleeding edge of it.
100%. And they were at the cutting edge and really making sure that they were trailblazing, I guess, here in Australia. And I don't think we really started to see it. You're right, it would have been 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, we started to see them really pop up here in Western Australia. And I think it's certainly changed the industry dynamic. I'm curious to know your thoughts on where it's at now and where you see, I guess, hazy IPAs going, because I think most people would agree that while they're still on trend, that trend's faded a little bit. So yeah, again, I'm interested to know your thoughts.
I think the space will continue to develop because just because there is so much more than 10 years ago, even than 2 years ago, there's so much more in terms of like new hop products and stuff like that. Like we were talking before about like how when you have a high ABV beer, you can pull more of those oil kind of components and less of the vegetative matter out of a hop. But now you can just buy that straight up. You know, I think as we kind of like, we're really still in the early days of understanding biotransformation and those kinds of things, how these different compounds work together, and like the posse effect or whatever. And I think that as we kind of uncover that kind of stuff, it will really like, we will reach the kind of apex of what a hazy beer is supposed to be. You know, I don't think it's going anywhere, but I think it will change. It will mutate, just because I think that's the nature of making anything.
100%. No, look, it's really interesting, right? Because I mean, one of our biggest products is a hazy pale ale, right? And while it doesn't have quite the same hop profile or aromatics as some of the bigger IPAs do out there, at the end of the day, it is still designed that way because it gives more of a juicy body presence. It's certainly got more of a mouthfeel than just a pale ale would have in that same ABV range. There's a lot of reasons that it works as a product, and ultimately we've spent so much of our time and energy on that product trying to make it as stable as humanly possible.
Consistent amount of haze.
100%.
Kind of stuff.
And you know what? It's driven us all to the brink of all of the emotions, to be honest. Like when you get it right, it's amazing, but then inexplicably something will change in the chemistry, whether there's a slight hiccup in the water profile.
That is such a big one. Water profile is such a big one.
It's huge. And you know, we're down south in Jindong using bore water. And,
I saw your setup the other day. It was amazing.
So there's a huge issue with consistency there for us, right? So, I mean, what did you use in Briblet Lake, actually? That's
I've got RO, so I just use municipal water with an RO unit.
Nice.
And I pull it back so hard. My system's electric.
Okay.
I pull it back so hard that I have to change all my heating elements like every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, right, because it causes more damage. Yeah,
it's just there's the Langolier saturation index, which is like how hungry the water is for ions. It'll just like scrape all the ions off the elements. Doesn't happen in the
kettle.
Doesn't happen in the kettle because there's ions.
You've got everything else.
It's all that stuff. So I haven't changed those.
It's just your hot liquor tank.
My hot liquor tank's fucked.
We have the opposite issue in that we've got relatively high chlorides, so it eats all of the stainless, right?
Totally.
And, it's a balancing act. You've got to be really careful, right?
It is 100%.
And again, I think water gets glossed over a lot when people are talking about beer in favour of hops, yeasts.
Yes.
Malts get glossed over as well. Hops and yeast are the ones that everyone seems to talk about because they're the ones that express so much. But without good water chemistry, you don't get that expression. You don't get those good interactions. You don't have healthy yeast. You don't have healthy fermentations. It all starts there, right? And it starts with malt and water, really. It's interesting because, again, the amount of podcasts that are out there, there's only a handful that I've heard that are talking about malt and water profiles. The water profile ones are incredibly dry and boring.
Ironically.
Pun not intended. But yeah, no, it's... I digress. I wasn't planning on going down a recipe building pathway, but hey, we can. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, like I think one thing I really try and avoid with hazy beers is just like any kind of chalkiness to it. So I think like the ratio is really important with sulfate to chloride. But I think if you can strip as much back as possible, and you're happy to replace your heating elements more often than you reasonably should, then you can kind of like, rather than doubling the amount of chloride, you're half the amount of sulfate, and your ratio is still the same, but there's less of that kind of chalkiness.
Gotcha. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, there was a phase there where everything was really chalky, and thankfully we've gone past that now, and it's mostly that fluffy, pillowy mouthfeel, which I think is actually really on point for the style.
I agree.
That's where I think we all were actually aiming, but no one knew what we were aiming for.
No one knew how to get there.
There was no target there. Right? So thankfully that seems to have changed, which is good.
Most of my hazies I put no sulfate in there.
Yeah,
so there's just whatever is coming by at 15 ppm out of the RO unit.
Yeah, sick.
Which is probably not good for my elements either.
That's all right. I mean, you just need to find a bigger budget.
That's right. Yeah.
Dear. But moving from that, I guess hazy IPAs are here to stay, right? Like,
I agree. Yeah. I think is obviously a reaction to something. Coming back to European style lagers. I mean, that's obviously like there's a loud part of the industry or the consumer base that is calling for that.
Yeah.
And the big format cans, and there's a few local breweries kind of moving into that thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we have become almost exhausted, or our palates have become exhausted by just the amount of variety and the amount of different flavors, and there's something really nice and refreshing about just having a beer you don't have to think about.
Totally, and it's shelf stable.
Is it ever?
Like that's the thing. Fantastic. Like we've got hundreds of years of German-based brewing technology that's been created around making this type of beer.
So the question then is, why wouldn't we just buy German beers?
Food miles.
I agree. Well, it's food miles, but it's also, I guess, the whole premise of local breweries is supporting local, and we tend to support our local food chain incredibly well. We work with local farmers, we work with local growers, we work with local suppliers, right? So it's about creating those local hubs of independent producers. At least that's the way that I look at it, and that's what differentiates an independent brewer or a craft brewer from the big multinationals, right? Because the big multis, in my mind, while they, not in WA so much anymore, but while they do have regionalised breweries, at the same time, their supply chains aren't focused on the local economy and the local community. Their supply chains are focused on efficiency, and their supply chains are focused on cost.
But they are supporting the local economy because it's cheaper. So like that's
well, they're supporting the local economy because it's cheaper, but they're also only employing one person per million litres of beer they brew, instead of the 25 that it takes us to brew every million litres of beer, right? So they're supporting it just at a different scale.
They're supporting it for different motivations.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is to send money over to Japan.
Yeah.
And we're not cutting that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting topic, I find, because we are seeing, and certainly for us at a different scale and different point to yourself, we're seeing a trend towards more drinkability and just drinkability, right? And whether that's alcohol based or whether that's just the profile of the beers, we're seeing that drinkability is becoming incredibly important. I mean, I'll temper that with the fact we just released a 5.8% Cali IPA, right? Yep. So we do see both ends of that, and we see both ends growing as well. It's just that, again, I firmly believe that there is an element, particularly with, and I think we were talking about this earlier, with our prime demographics of just fatigue and of just, they want to support local still, they want to support the small breweries, but just want something easy drinking, something that you don't have to think about on a Saturday afternoon while you're mowing the lawns, right?
I mean, that's the thing, I think, a good point. Like when I was 18 years old, I, would want to watch a movie at Luna, some independent European thing, or something that was challenging, some kind of art house, whatever. And now I get home and I'm 39 years old and I just want to watch like Parks and Rec reruns.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like it's like I'm not giving life that much attention
Mate,
anymore.
8 out of 10 cats does count down for the win, right?
Yeah,
like you just do not
yeah.
have to think, and it's hilarious.
But it's just you change over time. You're like, I don't need to be conquering new vistas every day. No. You know, like
yeah, no, 100%. And
but you know, I still really like, in terms of beer, I still really like the kind of more boundary pushing. But going back to what you're saying, trends. This one's been negative. Has mixed fermentation beer completely fucking died?
Yeah, so it breaks our hearts.
Yeah,
right?
dollar bill.
Yeah,
shutting down.
Yep,
or looking for a sale.
And Wildflower are moving from their site.
Allegedly coming back. We'll see.
We'll see where that goes.
Is Molly Rose still a thing? I don't think
Molly
so.
Rose is still a thing, but again, and much respect to everybody who's stuck to their guns and is pushing in that space. It's just so hard. I mean, we saw it from 5 years ago doing our barrel program, and you know, we were selling 600-700 bottles of each release we were putting out, and now it's maybe 200.
Yeah.
And that's through our venues predominantly.
I think the guy that is calling for European style classic lager in a 500ml can is the guy that was buying Belgian. You know,
quite possibly.
Like mixed fermentation.
Do you think that'll turn back again though?
Don't know. I really don't know.
It's a really interesting one because I know I go in cycles, and certainly what I'm drinking now won't be the same in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I like going through something simple, something clean, something nice, and I always want to have something in my fridge that's just I guess I call it a no-brain beer. I just grab it and don't have to think about it. But equally, so I love sitting down for dinner or with a cheese platter and a beautiful mixed fermentation beer, right? Like there's nothing better. It's just the acidity cuts through everything. You get this amazing flavor profile and depth, right? But I don't know.
As it warms, it changes and all that.
100%. It opens up and you know, there's this it takes you on a full journey of flavors, right? Whereas a Pilsner's
sometimes you just want Parks and Rec.
Correct. Mate, it's a great analogy. I like it. Yeah. Yep. No, we don't need psychological thrillers every day.
Exactly.
Yep. It's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's so many other things we can continue to talk about.
Let's go.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I guess we touched on it before, but just the scale and philosophy side of the business. And I guess I'm curious to know a little bit more about your philosophy around Evil Megacorp and you know, what do you believe in when it comes to community, when it comes to supporting local, and I mean, I guess from my point of view, right, like, as much as we've continued to grow, I still believe in supporting local. Now that has changed dramatically in terms of its scope and scale over 8 years. So
I mean, at one point you were looking at making everything on site.
100%. And
like
the first year we kind of did, and then in year 2 we went, fuck, we can't do this.
That's difficult.
And, correct. and it's nigh on impossible, right?
Yeah. I think when I just met you when I found out about what you were doing, I was like, good luck, man. Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah. So, and look, we had a hop yard on site until 2021, and that was actually looking back through our timeline, and that's when we pulled it out. Yeah. We're like, we just can't keep up with this, and it's not. So instead, we invested that time and energy into local hop growers and working with the guys out in Bridgetown who are growing them, so it's Southwest Hops, and then working with Carradale Hops and working with a whole pile of the smaller producers in the Southwest, because ultimately they're the lifeblood of well, they're potentially going to be the lifeblood. And I'll say that because as much as the crew are all doing an amazing job of developing hops, they're not quite there yet. And I think they all acknowledge that, right? Yeah. Malt is a different thing entirely. We live in one of the best wheat bowl regions of the world, in fact, not even just Australia.
And malting barley as well in particular.
Correct.
Malting spec barley is some of the best in the world.
It is. Yeah. And to be fair, quite a lot of the feed spec barley is malt spec barley in the rest of the world.
Is it?
Here in Western Australia.
Okay.
So, you know, we're very, very lucky in that regard. So I guess our philosophy is shaped largely around trying to support local as much as possible, and that gets harder the bigger you get. So do you have any particular takes on that? Or
I mean, I think it's really important to support. I mean, it's not support. Local isn't really my thing so much as small independent. Yeah. You know, like I really like, you know, Mortlock Malt. You know, Rex says I got a new product. I'm like, cool, send me some. You know, or like Dirk down at Margaret River Hops. Yeah. You know, like I want to do as many beers with those people as possible. For me, I'm trying to every little while, and I haven't done one in a bit, but I've got one in tank. Do a land beer. So basically get the closest ingredients possible and just do something. It's not a style.
Yeah, I love that.
Like it's a non-style,
Yep.
but you figure out a style that works with what you got.
Yeah, 100%. Whatever the ingredients are, right?
Yeah, and like I've had some really, really cool stuff come out of that kind of philosophy. Like there was this, I did a wet hop, Lodo wet hop, mash hopped beer because I'd used one of the hops previously. It had a little bit of a sulfur kind of thing to it, wasn't crazy about it. So I thought if I put that in really early on, maybe that sulfur will kind of stop it oxidizing a little bit in the mash.
Yep.
But then it'll be gone by the time into boil.
Yep.
And I just did that. I just put the hops, shitloads of them, like I think it was like 12 grams a litre in the mash tun.
Yeah, right.
And they did nothing else. And it had this smoothness and this kind of, and that was I used K97, so it was like a Belgian wit yeast in an all barley beer.
Yeah, okay.
And I kind of like, it had this really rich, complex kind of hop profile that I never would have discovered unless I had to, because I really wanted to use this product and I couldn't figure out a way to do it.
Yep.
And it almost tasted like if like an imperial version of Cooper's Red thought it was an IPA.
That's super interesting.
It was really, really weird.
So then
really,
that came
really
about
weird.
because you wanted to use these local hops
Yeah.
that you couldn't find another use for.
Exactly.
And so that's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And that's the sort of
But anyway,
journey
that wasn't even answering your fucking question. So
No, but it was a great story.
I think you really got to support these small operators as they grow.
Yeah.
Because like if you want that to exist in 20 years' time, you know, when's the best time to plant a tree? You know, kind of thing.
Now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, but the worst thing is I find it is whenever I'm like, fuck, I don't have any money, blah, blah, blah. These guys are the first ones to be like, oh, do you want me to just send you some free stuff? And I'm like, no, you guys are the ones I want to pay first.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's really interesting. Isn't it? I mean, I guess it's because they're in a position where they're trying to grow and trying to get the name of the products up.
And it's all reciprocal and all that stuff.
It is. And I mean...
But it is very nice, but I feel bad.
Yeah, 100%. I get that.
Yeah.
But you touched on it, and I guess the small independent being more important than almost anything else.
Yeah.
And I agree. That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's a really important thing, I think, for all businesses and for all consumers to
Yeah.
look at small and independent processors and producers first, because often they're, if not the same price, slightly cheaper than the big guys are, because there's way less involved in their operations. There's less distribution involved.
Because they kind of have to be.
Sure, and there's that competition perspective
Yeah.
as well. And certainly, I don't mind paying a premium for local and independent products. But again, for the most part, they have less constraints on their businesses than the big guys do, right? So that does lead naturally to, if not equivalent, then like I say, slightly cheaper prices.
Yeah.
Which I think there's a misnomer there that small and independent means really fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And I don't think it does.
I mean, I have been told consistently for the first few years that my beers are underpriced. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's like, I just don't want only my beers to only be for rich people.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
It's got to be an affordable luxury.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. Well, I mean, again, there's probably a misnomer there that craft beer is expensive.
Yeah.
And yet if you go into most shops, it's the same price, if not slightly cheaper than the big boys are. And you know, everyone goes, oh, a block of Xbox cheaper. And I'm like, per can, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, sometimes it is. And on
For
special
standard
it
drink,
is.
it's definitely not.
For quality, it's definitely not
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
Oh, shit, I'm going to get shot for that. But anyway. All right. I was going to go on a little bit of a tangent.
Let's do it.
If you want to
I'm
entertain
ready.
it.
I'm ready.
So this question was asked by Keegan.
Okay.
And this one's from the crowd.
Okay.
Are you the lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars?
Fucking Jared Leto. Isn't he... Okay, so he's sus, right? Like, I can't remember what it was, but there's like a conspiracy theory that he's like a...
That's actually you.
No, he's like a American intelligence-led cult thing.
Okay, well, just bear with me for a second, because you built this brewery that you're obviously never going to make money out of.
Yes, correct.
So you're funding it somehow.
I fund it with my savings. Like, I saved up for 13 years.
Okay.
I saved up before I'd ever brewed a beer.
Oh, well, there goes my logic. So. Dear.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, I think the actual build out for Evil Megacorp from kind of from the start to being up and running was about $250,000. So yeah, it was just like it was really, really on a shoestring.
Yep.
But I then with the last little bit of the money that I needed to finish it off, I started pre-selling subscriptions.
Yep.
And that got me over the line.
Nice.
But yeah, like it was not. I'm glad I didn't know how difficult and expensive it was going to be before I started, because I wouldn't have started.
I'm glad you didn't come and talk to me about it. Just mixing it up today, this week's episode is brought to you by Gin Dong Juicy and Rocky Ridge Draft, because what's better than one beer? 2 fucking beers. Cheers, Cobb. So, my, I guess, last question, and then we can riff on whatever the fuck you want.
Okay.
But basically, I guess there's a lot of supply chain challenges out there at the moment. Obviously, we're in a pretty turbulent time right now.
Yep.
We're probably not feeling it so much in Western Australia at the moment. I'm just interested to know your thoughts on it, whether you've seen any impacts from the increasing cost of not just fuel but energy as a whole.
Yeah, energy not yet. Fuel definitely. In terms of just because I go direct to consumer. Every logistics company that I use has put substantial levies on stuff.
Yep.
All my hops come through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yep.
I think it's actually I think the next couple of years are going to be really interesting because of how like the geopolitical situation is really affecting. I mean, I'm sure down where you guys are, your neighbors might have these issues. Stuff like fertilizer, that kind of thing.
Yep.
People even if in Australia it's still the same, we exist in a global market. The price of grain went up significantly when Russia invaded Ukraine. Yeah. The price of aluminium was threatening to spike when I think the Americans did end up sanctioning their aluminium exports. All of these things have knock-on consequences because the people that grow wheat and barley here will sell it to overseas if they can make more money from it, as
it's a free market economy,
as they have every right to do.
Yep.
But I think kind of 28 is going to be really interesting for one of our most major inputs, grain, and what's going to happen there.
I tend to agree, and it's going to be very interesting to see what this year's harvest looks like. There's a lot of murmurings about people not planting. I'm not entirely sure how much of that's actually going to translate to people not putting a crop in the ground.
Yeah.
Because that can have a fairly catastrophic consequence here for us, right? And not just necessarily for us as brewers and seeing price increases, but also just the price of everyday staples on the shelves, right?
But also, it's not just what it costs me for my groceries. It's like the number one thing that the government could do to make my business make more money would be to make sure that all of my customers don't have unaffordable housing.
Yep.
Yeah. like if they had more money that they're currently spending on rent and mortgage and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I haven't seen any numbers, but I would guess that less than 0.1 of 1% of people that buy my beer own a house outright.
So we started the conversation without really any context around AI. And it's actually a really interesting area to talk about, right? Because I think it's very divisive in the community.
100%.
People either love it or absolutely hate it or have no idea about it and refuse to embrace it, right?
Yep.
My honest to God opinion is that it's being overhyped at the moment, but there is some really useful productivity tools that are going to come out of it. And certainly when it comes to bulk data analysis or bulk summarization of huge amounts of information, it's got great value. So when you start talking about its use in medical research and its ability to take all of these vast data points and find trends, that's incredible, right? And being able to use algorithms to do that in place of a person having to go through it, where people can fail as the AI can fail. This is the thing that always gets overlooked. Everyone's like, the AI fails. And I'm like, yeah, people do too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm fucking shit at spelling, right?
Yeah.
So, ultimately, we're all fallible. It's just the ability to do things really, really rapidly that would take us fucking hours and hours or weeks and weeks, right?
I mean, the use that I have for AI is exclusively in label production.
Yep.
And I have got a lot of heat from that, from people that think I should support local designers.
But there's a huge cost to that as well, and I'm not saying not rightly so.
There's so many reasons why it's not right for me. Basically, I make a beer. I can the beer in empty cans, blank cans, silver bullets. I put them all in milk crates. I go home with a couple of the beers, a couple of underfills, and I design the label at that time.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Come up with a stupid name, print it in my spare room overnight. I do all label printing.
Yep.
And then manually label them all the next day.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I can't achieve that with in-house graphic design.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a really good context, right? So for us, again, a really different scale, right? And we're producing about 100 different releases a year, right?
Man. So, and you guys have like a whole team of people getting all that stuff happening.
The team's name's Liam. but no, Liam has a fantastic group he works with, but Ethan does a lot of our illustration. We do use a few other designers as well to do the illustration work.
Especially if you're doing 100 a year.
Jared Zendok did all of our core range redesign and does a lot of templating for us. We use a whole pile of different creatives to do it, but it's simply because of the sheer volume. Now, for us though, we have to have that planned out months in advance.
Correct.
If we don't, then we hit all sorts of bottlenecks, because if we have a beer sitting in a tank for an extra week because we don't have a can or a label on site,
throughput of that.
Correct. It just destroys the entire flow of the brewery. And to pack all that out and then to put it back through to label 10,000 cans, that's way too manual, and it's way too much of an impost on everyone's time. And it means that then a beer that should have been pretty straightforward becomes actually a real bowl ache. So organisation is incredibly important, but with organisation, it allows us to be able to go to the creative side of things with a clear direction and go, this is what we want to achieve. So there's this really nice pipeline and flow, right? So the way that you're describing it is a little bit different, and we riffed on it a little bit earlier in that your recipes are very much about feel.
Yes.
Which means that when you're going in the moment like that, you don't necessarily know what the end result's going to be, which means that you need to be more flexible with alcohol percentages. You need to be more flexible with names of beers, with styles of beers, because ultimately you don't know necessarily what it's going to be until you get there.
Yes.
That is
100% correct. Also, there's just a volume situation. Like, if I was going to hire anyone to work for Evil Megacorp, if I was going to hire anyone to work for Evil Megacorp, my first thing wouldn't be a graphic designer. That wouldn't be it. But if I was going to hire a graphic designer to do the labels, to do the design of the image on the label, which is just a square, a fair rate for paying them would mean that it's like $1 a can. You know, that would be the largest single input of anything. It would be more than a 20 gram a litre dry hop. And it's like, my first year, my first full 12 months, I made $27,000. It's about as much as if you're on the dole. And I was, paying a mortgage, all that kind of stuff. And I think I released like 40 beers. If I spent $20,000, it wouldn't have happened.
I get that. Makes perfect sense. If Mel's watching right now, she'll say that I should be saying that we make nothing, but no, I digress. So it's really interesting, and again, I'm all for supporting creative arts, and I'm all for supporting human-based industries.
Me too. Yeah. But is a label for a product? Is that art? I mean, there's definitely art involved. Like, there's definitely artistic talent in being able to do that. But is it art or is it commerce? Is it just an ad for the product?
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I hadn't thought of it too much in that way.
Do we consider an influencer on Instagram? Do we consider them to be an artist? They're writing prose. That's an art form. They're taking photos. That's an art form.
Yeah.
There are artistic skills required to do that job, but is it art?
It's a really good question.
And there's definitely some great art on cans, and you guys have artists that do art on cans. But just because it's a picture, does that make it art?
No, and it's a really interesting point, right? It's a really interesting take on it, and the question, I guess, isn't the way that I would normally have thought through it. But it's very valid, because you're right. It is a form of advertising, right? More than anything. But I guess
you're not seeing AI at the Tate Modern.
But the most creative ads and the most creative marketing is incredibly creative and is in its own way an art form, much as you're saying.
The best bits of life are
as much as I want to rip my tongue out saying it, it's the same thing with influencers, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, for what it's worth, they do put an incredible amount of time and energy into creating that content. There is probably a connotation to art. Now, again, is it art in the traditional sense? No, but is anything traditional anymore? I mean, even the way that we're talking about beers and the fact that you're essentially vibe creating recipes.
Yeah.
That's not
vibe creating recipes is actually a really good
way
of explaining it.
But that's not how we would have done it 10 or 15 years ago, right?
No.
It's all analytics. It's building the recipe bit by bit by bit to then get to the end desired goal.
Yes.
But the reality of where we're at right now is that we just want to create something that tastes fucking good.
Yeah.
Right? And whether that's a Pilsner, whether it's a triple dry hop West Coast, whether it's a land-based barley beer, right?
Yeah. Land-based. Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Land beer. Land beer is the Germanic kind of.
Land beer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Well, there you go. So I learn something new every day. But yeah, it's. I guess it's all changed dramatically, right? And AI right now, again, like it or loathe it, it's here.
But I mean, there are some really like legitimate criticisms against AI, and like one of the main ones is that it's going to take people's jobs away.
Sure.
You know, like that's huge.
We riffed on this earlier though, and I guess I don't think it's going to take people's jobs away if you embrace it correctly.
True.
I think that there's a lot of value that you can bring to your own role, no matter what that role is, if you embrace it in the correct way and you create more value from it.
I think if a worker's role becomes more efficient in their productive output, the amount of total jobs required to be done decrease. Like, okay, the forklift, right? Mm-hmm. The technology of the forklift eradicated millions of porter jobs all over the world. Right? It did. There's way less people moving stuff around by hand than there used to be because there's technology that has taken those jobs away. And there is like legitimate concern about, we should have regulations about allowing AI to scrape people's intellectual property.
100%. And privacy is a whole other thing. And the fact that there are no rules-based, there are no rules, essentially. They can do whatever the hell they want.
And like we kind of had this in the 80s and 90s when like musicians started using samples and stuff like that. And it was a little bit Wild West in the early days. But we kind of determined collectively as a society, it's like, what is, fair use in the American term or whatever, I can't remember what the equivalent is in Australia, but it's like there is a certain amount that you can borrow from other creators, but you got to attribute it properly and all that kind of stuff. Like there are AI models, which is what I'm moving to use almost exclusively now, like Quen, which is like a Chinese one, which is all trained on like 16 billion open source images. So there's no potential for stealing people's stuff.
Cool. That's really cool.
The Chinese ones are actually the Chinese ones are really, really interesting because the Americans kind of prohibit them from having the really important high-tech processes. So all of their stuff is done on these really low energy intensive, really like efficient kind of...
Which is where it should be based, right?
100%.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm watching it and going, where is this going to end? Because there's trillions of dollars being invested in data centers that require so much energy, water, and resource to operate. And
so the data center water thing, right? So all the water that gets consumed is just literally just cooling these fucking systems.
Bullshit, right?
And it just evaporates. Is that going to have an impact on the way that local weather systems work?
Well, we don't know yet.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Depends how big they are.
I think the bigger problem is that there's areas where they're taking that water away from towns, right? And they're taking that water away from farmers, and that's a huge impact on the local ecosystem.
But that is an inherent problem of capitalism. Like water rights, water futures being traded on the stock market. Like horrific. I don't think that's specific to AI. That's just like, like the bloody Californian pistachios and stuff like that. Almonds, pistachios, something.
Almonds.
Yeah, it's insane.
Almond milk. So I guess different topic entirely. But you were asking about
hot water
before.
What have you done? What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, what do you reckon? I mean, it's interesting, right?
I like it.
It's. I find it really refreshing. Nice little bit of carbonation. That little bit of citrus character coming through, but not overbearing.
I find most hot waters I've had. They overplay the bitterness because they don't realize that it's going to be zero Play-Doh. And like you can't just do that. But this one is actually quite balanced. It's more kind of, which is why I was asking. It's like What are you doing with this? You're obviously not just dry hopping water.
So it's deaerated water, a little bit of phosphoric acid to get the pH right, so that you get shelf stability. I think we've played with citric acid as well, and I'm not actually sure whether we landed with phosphoric or citric or a blend. But anyway, both get your acidity right, and then it's just amplifier hop oils.
Yeah, cool.
So you just get that beautiful top note. It has enough there that you still get a little bit on the body, but not overbearing again. And there's fuck all bitterness as a result of it. Which
I quite like it. So the amplifier hop oils, what's their carrying agent? It's like a glycerol or something.
I would have no idea. Sorry,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to ask the Clayton guys.
You know, it'd be an interesting thing to try with this, because I don't know if it would work.
Gin works really well.
I bet it does.
Yeah, like it's basically a direct replacement for tonic water.
Yeah,
it works a treat.
And tonic water's so full of sugar.
Correct. Whereas this is just water, hops, and a little bit of acid.
No, that's fucking genius. Yeah. No, I was gonna say, I fucked around with this maybe 8 or so years ago, before there was such a wide variety of biotransformative hops, biotransformative yeasts for hazy beers. You can actually get a wine. Well, at the time it was a wine enzyme, and now they're selling it as brewer's enzyme. But Lallement has an enzyme that does the one. I can't remember which one. One of the two biotransformations.
Yeah, okay.
I wonder if you could biotransform the oils in the amplifier futuristic hop product with a biotransformative enzyme.
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Like really interesting.
Yeah. Could be cool.
Next collab.
Yeah, collab. Do a water collab. I might be able to sell that.
Oh, fuck. We'll release it on April Fool's next year, eh? Oh, shit. This is going down way too well for
It is. It's quite delicious.
11 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Yeah. I was going to go harass the government today, but I'm not going to do that anymore.
All right. Final line for the day. Desert Island beer. Only one beer, the only beer that you're going to drink for the next 20 years.
Okay, so it's not just one beer, it's like that beer for eternity.
For eternity, correct.
Like it's available.
You have to, that is the only beer you have available to you to drink for the next 20 years.
What I was thinking was, like a magnum of something, because I could use that to like beat a small rodent for food. You know, I was thinking about the future.
No, this is just that you're stuck on a desert island for the rest of your life. But the one magical thing you have is an unlimited supply of one beer.
One beer.
Yep, one beer only.
One beer. Hop Hog, when I first tried it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like 2008-ish Hop Hog.
Yep, that was one of my gateway beers into good beer.
Yeah. Or if I'm really not committed to getting off the island, like a 10% triple red IPA, and I'll just drink myself to oblivion.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So, I'm not going to give mine because that'll ruin the entire rest of the series.
Keep it a mystery.
Correct. But I like that. Hop Hog's a really interesting one because that was very much, that's a huge nostalgic beer for me.
Yeah, it's the only beer I've ever liked with Amarillo in it.
So at the time, Copycat was right.
Copycat was great. Fantastic. And
right around that period, and Little Creature's Bright Ale was the beer that really.
I always hated that one.
You did, yeah.
I hated that. Pale Ale was so much better than Bright Ale.
The Pale Ale was amazing.
Yeah.
The Bright Ale was kind of like the real entryway. It was like a just beautiful summer ale.
Yeah. I was working at Creatures just after they launched Bright Ale.
Yeah, okay.
And all the staff used to mix Bright and Pale and call it Braille because it gets you blind. But not particularly. It was reducing the alcohol. I remember when 5.2% beer seemed amazingly high.
Yeah,
crazy.
I do. And Hop Hog was like an IPA pale ale.
Yeah.
5.6.
But yeah. Anyway, you got to cut me off. I'm just gonna keep talking. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.